here I am back podcasting. It's been a wee while and I'm in my parents' house, and that's one of the reasons it's taken me a while. I've been staying here for a bit and I just haven't really found the good spot for filming. If you're following me on Instagram, you'll note that I haven't shared many photos there either, just because I'm just struggling to find the best place to take photos. I had the ideal setup. Where I was before, the light was just perfect. I had two windows that were at right angles and the light just really soaked in. And there was a good blind as well, and that meant I could filter the light perfectly. So I'm missing that. I'm finding it harder to take photos up here. I'm in my parents', their house is topsy-turvy, so I'm in their upstairs room, which is their living space. Got the big fire behind me. I used it for a quick live I did actually a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, right, I think this could be my good spot, especially in the winter when it's kind of got that nice cozy vibe going on, and it is cozy to sit in as well. It's not just for show. It's lovely sitting here. You'll note I am wearing a finished thing. This is the little Bousta Yoke. It's by Gudrun Johnson, and I started this in June 2024, and it is off the needles. It was on Christmas Day. I blocked it the Christmas Eve, if that makes sense. Left the ends, sewed them in on Christmas Eve, finishing about 10 p.m. to make sure it was ready in time for Christmas Day. I'll put some photos up here rather than standing and showing you all the angles. I say this, I don't think I have any photos of me wearing it, and I have so much stuff balanced on my knee that I daren't to move. But I added in, one thing I have done is I've added in this colour, I've got the shadow. I couldn't find my tripod. Last minute I could not find my tripod, so I'm actually using my ring light because it has a wee attachment for the phone. So I don't have any extra light either. Could not find the tripod. Last minute there, it's quite a big thing, right? I could not find it. Anyway, so I'm sorry, that's casting a shadow. The ring light, even though it's not on, but there's the shadow from it. Anyway, I added this colour detail here. The sleeves were just plain, and I picked out this pattern and just inverted it. And if I hold it this way, it's the right way. But it was worked down the way. So does that make sense? Yeah. So I just flipped it. I realised it was a multiple of 4 I had. I just really wanted to add a wee bit of colour here. I didn't add anything round the hem. That is just as it should be. All the edges finish with just your cast off or your cast on. So cast on at the neck. They all finish in the satin contrast, which is such a lovely touch. I really like it. It just adds a subtle something around the edge. Love it. I absolutely love that detail. So it is circular yoke work top down in 4-ply Shetland wool, and I thoroughly enjoyed this one. Oh, the other detail I added, because if you're following my podcast way back, I added 6 colours. It's designed for 4. I added 6, and when I finished, it should have finished there, if that makes sense. So without these 2 green blobs going round. Because I added an extra colour, it looked a bit odd when it finished. In the pattern, this off-white would have been your main colour, and I just felt it looked a bit sudden. So I added in the dashes of green. At that point as well, I felt there wasn't much of the green, so that is this green. Those two kind of melt into each other a wee bit. That's my one colour. It has grown on me. I wish that was a bit of a bigger contrast, that's all. And I hadn't used, at that point, much of that paler green, which is the other reason why I wanted to pick it out on the cuff as well. So I really, really like this. I haven't worn it too much because I wanted to save it for my first podcast. I knew that would happen at some point, and just keep it nice. So I have worn it on a few occasions, but I haven't worn it too much. And yeah, thoroughly recommend the pattern. I got it on Ravelry. I'm not sure what other spaces it's available. Everything will be linked below, and I've now started as well putting the show notes just slightly better written up, I suppose, into my blog. So as well as all the details below, you'll find it all on my blog with clear clickable links on there as well. I've been putting quite a few good posts on the blog. Today I shared a UK-US cheat sheet with you, and that went out to my email subscribers who got it for free. I have written a blog post about it, put the link in the blog post, and it's just 99 pence on my website. If you're interested in that, you could always print it off, keep it in your project bag, or you could just download it and have it on your phone, and you'd always have it. It's just a nice clear UK to US terminology cheat sheet. Anyway, I've got distracted. I knew I would talk too much and too fast, so apologies, not really apologies, that's just the way it is with me. I am going to share, I'll pick this up, I'm going to share these. These are almost finished. I realised I was going to start podcasting and I realised I hadn't even cast off the toe, so I very quickly cast off the toe. So I've got one end left on this pair of socks. I haven't blocked them. These are the Pierre socks. It's a pattern by Stephen West, and it was in the Year of Socks. Even got a stitch marker on this one. It was in the Year of Socks PDF in 2023. So I've had the pattern in my library for quite some time, and I was glad to be able to make them. Interestingly, the pattern is actually written for 3 colours of yarn, kind of similar to this in the way that they would change. So it's kind of a fade. I didn't realise that when I chose the pattern, because it's a very subtle fade in Stephen's photos, and I just thought it was all one colour, but it worked fine in the 2 different colours. I made a mistake. I made sock 1, not this one. This is sock 1. Follow the instructions as you do, you got it sitting on your knee or whatever, and came to sock 2 and just thought, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And I actually missed a repeat before I started the heel. So this one goes straight from this extra ribbing down to the heel, and this one has the ribbing and then some triangles and then the heel. So one is a little bit longer than the other, and then that meant, because it's four different textures that just repeat themselves, and you just stop when you have run out of yarn or run out of space on your foot. You just stop at the end of a textured section. So I'm then kind of going, you've got triangles, garter stitch, moss stitch, and then the 1 by 1 rib, and those 4 just repeat. So what I've done is I've just repeated the 4, but it then means that at the toe they look a bit different, because this one ends with the garter ridges and this one ends with the triangles. But they're the same length, the feet are the same length, look. It's just, they're just a little bit off. But there we are. These are going to be a birthday present for my brother-in-law, Matt. And I hope he likes them, because actually they gifted me this yarn for Christmas. It is from Lang Yarns, and it is their alpaca socks, spelled S-O-X-X. And it's the first time I've used this yarn. It's gorgeously soft, feels lovely. It's got some nylon in it. I don't have the ball band, but I would definitely recommend working in this again. And I love the way the colours pooled. I'm sorry, I keep twisting the two of them and fondling them. The colours pooled really nicely because the textures kept changing. So the amount of yarn per round kept changing, which meant that the sort of whiter splodges moved around. And I really like that. Really enjoyed that pattern. Still available. You can buy it individually, although I was saying I got it with the Year of Socks 2023. It's available on Ravelry and probably on Westnitz as well as a individual pattern. So happy with those. Next on my knee is something else I have just finished. Finished it last night. Haven't sewn in any ends. But look at this. It's a little thing. And it's on a teether ring. It's the first time I have, in fact this is one of my own designs. It's the first time I've designed anything on a teether ring. Are we going to focus? Please, are we going to focus? focus for me. That's a bit better. So it starts by working into the teether ring. And interestingly, I put a poll on my Instagram stories, just wondering how many people had worked into a ring like this. Possibly for something similar, like a teether, or jewellery, or something for the home perhaps, like a hanging basket, or even handles on a bag. You can start a bag just by working into a hoop like this, and 50 people answered, and it was an 80-20 split. So 40 people out of 50 had never worked into a ring, which I found fascinating, and 10 people out of 50 had. So I shall be, when I release the pattern, that was kind of what I wanted to know. Is it something people were familiar with? So when I release the pattern, I will do a wee video sharing how to work into a ring. And after that, it's worked in moss stitch or linen stitch, crocheted, and there are a couple of subtle colour changes. You could work it all in one colour, you could make it super scrappy. And also I cannot remember, or I've even struggled looking up, so if somebody could tell me, what is this thing called? So it's like a teether with a cuddly bit for a little one. Does it have a name? I don't know. Is it a lovey? Is it a teether with a wee bit square on it? I'm sure it has an actual name, but can I find it? No. So if somebody could enlighten me, does this item actually have a name? I tried looking on Ravelry, and I was just kind of looking how would I list it when I do list it, and I couldn't work out what category I would put it in at all. So I'll sew the ends in. Like I say, I finished it last night just before I took the dogs out, so I just left it at that. It's worked in cotton bamboo. I need to look up the yarn exactly because it was scraps in my stash that I had a decent amount of, like half a ball of each of the colours, and no ball bands. I'll know it when I see it. When I look it up, I'll be able to, I do know exactly what it is, but I cannot remember off the top of my head. But I'll chuff with this. This will be a pattern release in February. I am trying my absolute best this year to do one pattern release per month. I released a pattern in January, which segues nicely into the next thing on my knee, is more socks. I love socks, and these are crochet socks. You can see they're quite big. They are slipper socks. So these are designed to be worn in the house, probably with your cotton socks on underneath, and they're just to keep your feet cozy like a slipper. And obviously they go right up the ankle with this folded down cuff, and they are worked in 10 ply Aran weight, and I used yarn from the new Lanark Spinning Company. It's 100% pure new wool, and it feels gorgeous. I think the colours are Owen's Flame and can't remember. Owen's Flame and something. Can't remember what the yellow is. So I'm chuffed with these in that colour because this is the second pair I have made. I made a pair, and the original pair were sent off to the Journal of Scottish Yarns, and they were in issue 2. The pattern for them, and it was heathery colours, I think bramble and heather, I believe. The same yarn from the new Lanark Spinning Company. It was the same yarn, the Aran weight, and yes, so they were featured in there. Susan at the magazine still has that sample, so I decided to make up a new sample. I just changed up the colours, and that pattern is now available as an instant download from Ravelry or on my website. And if you would like issue 2 of the Journal of Scottish Yarns, I believe you can still get that as a digital copy, and you'll find all the other patterns in there as well. So that was January's pattern release, and yes, I think that's about all I wanted to tell you about those. Gorgeous pattern. I've put quite a lot of info about crocheting socks on my blog lately. There was a whole piece about substituting yarn and what kind of yarn is best for socks. A very lengthy blog post actually, loads of good information tucked in there if you want to go and check that out. If you are a sock crocheter or indeed a sock knitter, I'm sure you'll find all that info quite helpful for you. And I'm working on building a crochet sock PDF guide where I'm going to pull all the info, including a lot of new info I have on crocheting socks, into one place, and that will be available as a guide on my website when it's ready. I've got a couple more sections to do on that, and I would like to do a few videos as well, just talking through some of my key points for that PDF. Let me get a quick cup of rooibos tea with a bit of almond milk today, I believe. So, what shall I share next? I think I will go on to a few... No, I'll tell you what, I was going to say some incoming. I'll do the incoming at the end. I will share my next bit of knitting, which is more Fair Isle. You can see some of the colours are the same. Quite a few of them, I think. If I look at it. Yeah, I think the mauvey colour, not the reddish, but the dark teal, and anything else? Oh yeah, the off-white. They are the same as in here. The yellow is much yellower. It's more of a buttercup sort of yellow. It's much yellower. And this is the Buggiflooer hat from Shetland Wool Week 2023, I think. And off the top of my head, which is really annoying, I hate it when I can't think who the designer is. I cannot think who the designer is, and I'm really sorry. I'll pop it up on the screen, and of course the pattern will be linked below. I will pop it on. Double Fair Isle. Really happy with this one. I made two. My good friend Gwen has the first one I made, or maybe this was the first. I think this was the first. I think she has the second one I made. Oh, I've got random bits of wool sticking out there. I made one in the reddish colour, I think, something like that. Similar kind of colours, so it's quite nice that we both got the same hat but slightly different. And here's the crown. Just love the crown on Fair Isle hats. I just think they're gorgeous. Yeah, this is the first one I did because I mucked it up a little bit early on. I didn't quite get the decrease going properly, but I got there. Happy with this one. It's a lovely design. At the time actually I worked three, this is before Christmas, I made 3 Shetland hats, one after the other. I just became quite addicted to them, and they are all worked in Shetland wool. It's 4-ply weight. It's actually they call it 2-ply. I've got an end in here actually I can show you. It's actually because I missed it when I was cutting all the ends out. It's 2-ply, which means that it's 2 pieces plied together, not necessarily that it is 2-ply yarn. So I think they call it 2-ply jumper weight, and by jumper weight, see, it's 2 pieces plied together, just like that. I need to snip that one. I have to make sure when I put it on that I don't have these 2 little dangly bits. I caught all the other ones. I think it was a knot in the ball. So that one was, all the rest of them were lined up together at the join in the round, but that one was off to the side somewhere, so I didn't snip them. Went aside there. Yes, so the yarn it's Shetland wool. Some of it is from Jameson and Smith, and some of it is just Jameson's, but it's all Shetland wool from Shetland sheep, and I really, really enjoy working with that. I've been doing a fair bit of knitting. One of the things that I'm trying to learn is Continental style. So this was actually my Fun a Day project. I haven't got very far with it. Fun a Day is an idea where you do something creative every day in January, and although most days I did a row or 2, I just had it at the kitchen table and I picked it up and put it down. hadn't noticed until now just how beautifully this yarn is pulling. It's kind of funny down here. I think there was a knot. Was there a knot in the wool? And I just kept going. Because this will probably just become like a doll blanket or something. I was trying to go for a scarf, but I only have this much wool left, and even though I have another skein, even two of these together are not going to be enough for a scarf, so I think I might just make it a wee doll blanket and gift it to a small child. You can see I did get better. This is where I started, obviously down the bottom. I think I did a crochet cast on. I struggled a little bit with my cast on. No, it's not a crochet cast on. I think I maybe just used a bigger needle. I struggled with casting on for some reason. And I think it's because I'm used to doing tubular cast-ons, or what's the other one? The one where you start with 2 needles if you're maybe making toe-up socks, and just a regular cast-on just completely threw me, so I struggled with casting on. And yet initially I found turning the end of the row. So I'm doing Continental style. I didn't really go in and explain that. So I am an English style knitter, which means that I generally hold my wool in my right hand. I'm right-handed. I would knit my live stitches on my left and my wool on my right. And for Continental style, you are holding your wool in the same hand that your live stitches are on, and it's supposed to be faster, and it's less of a movement on your shoulders and your wrists and your hands, which means you can go for longer without needing to take a break, because you're putting less strain on your muscles and joints and things. I'm not going to show you, other than it's just a subtle sort of finger movement, sort of like this, rather than sort of an exaggerated, yarn going over like this with your yarn using the other hand. So I've got to here, and so far I'm liking it actually, and I think I am slightly faster. Once I get going, I find the first couple tricky, and then when I get to the end, I'm all like, oh gosh, what's happening? And then when I switch the needles around, I tend to sort of drop everything, and I have to gather my yarn. But all that aside, I am quite happy, and I'm going to, my next knitting project is by Isabell Kraemer, I think, Isabell Kraemer, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's 4-ply, and it's very simple, top down, raglan, short sleeve jumper. So I'm going to do that in Continental style, and it'll probably be a long circular needle, so I won't have that stopping and starting at the beginning and the end, and that should be a good project for me to get stuck in and practice the Continental. My pup downstairs started to howl. I'm hoping that is not getting picked up on the video. Now, Christmas time, I got the lovely present of So Raimi's Christmas Eve box, and it included this project bag made by Rachel herself. Here is her logo, So Raimi, and it came with some beautiful yarn. Have I finished this one? Yes, this is the one I finished, by Westloff Yarns, and I have crocheted a Lazy Days sock. If you've been following me for some time, you will know this is one of my own designs. This is the Lazy Days sock, and it came out in 2022, I believe. 2022. And it's a cuff down construction. It's quite different. Can you see? And then it ends here with these lovely lacy bits. Slightly more unusual. And then it's just worked top down in the round with the traditional heel and heel flap. I put my hand down. I've just finished these, so I've not blocked them. You can see the heel and the toe. I haven't sewn in the end, but it's a rounded toe. And that sock 1 is finished and sock 2 is heading there. I have done about half the foot, and that is that. Gorgeous, gorgeous yarn. It's 4-ply. I haven't got the ball band, but it's probably 75% superwash and 25% nylon. It may be 80-20, but it's something like that. And the yarn, like I say, was in the Christmas Eve box. So was that cute little marker that I took off the other socks. Are you going to focus for me? Nearly. This is by Chapel View Crafts, and they make many gorgeous, gorgeous stitch markers and other little things. It's just super cute and goes so nicely with the rest of the things here. It was a really, really nicely put together Christmas Eve box. There were some candles, there was a little trinket dish by I think it's Handcrafted Love. You know, I thought I'd done really well and gathered everything I needed for this podcast, but there are a couple of things I don't have. I did mean to bring everything from the Christmas Eve box because I didn't share it on a social media at the time, and I just wanted to do a wee shout out to Rachel and let her know how much I really appreciated her Christmas Eve box. I've had one for quite a few years from her. I really like them, totally recommend them. So I meant to bring everything up and I forgot. And the other thing I've forgotten is the pattern, new pattern of mine, which is blocking downstairs. I shall pop a photo up here. It's still slightly damp, but I did mean to bring it up. And I have almost finished actually, I've still got to sew up a cowl, and that is downstairs blocking. I did mean to bring it. It is crocheted, so it will be my March design. The February one, the wee teether square, that is going to be February. The cowl will be March because I have crocheted it in yarn from the Scottish Yarn Festival, and I would like to release that on the day of the Scottish Wool Producers Showcase, which is on the 22nd of March. I'm going to have a stall there that day, and I thought it'd be a really good day to launch the pattern in the Scottish Yarn Festival yarn. Those of you who have been following me, I released my Tay beanie to coincide with the Scottish Yarn Festival itself back in September last year. So this one using the yarn, but it's 4-ply. I've never used their 4-ply before, and it's much more delicate obviously because it's half the weight of the DK, which I normally use. It's worked in 2 colours, in Errol and in Bruce, and it's also the first design I've done in 2 colours from the range as well. What else did I want to say? So I'm going to, at the minute I'm blocking it flat. It's worked as a tube, and then I'm going to join it together, but just instead of bringing the 2 ends like this, I'm going to offset one and give it a Mobius twist, which will just give the whole thing a little bit more, what's the word? I don't know what the word was. It was in my head and then it went away. A little bit more interest. I don't think that's the word I was looking for, but it'll just give it that bit more interest instead of it just sitting like a tube around the neck. It will just introduce that little quirky, maybe that's the word, quirky twist to it and help it to sit really nicely. And yeah, cannot wait to just sew those ends together once it's dry and share that properly. So pattern is this close to being finished, and then I'll get it sent off to my lovely testers. If you haven't tested for me before, but this sounds like it's something that you might be interested in, leave me a comment and I'll get back to you, or my email address is actually probably the best way to get a hold of me, which is crochet at Marta Mitchell Designs at crochet, sorry, let's get this right, crochet at martamitchelldesigns.com. Yes, that is correct. Sorry, it has been a while since I've done podcasts, and that would normally have just rolled off my tongue, and sorry. Not the most professional this afternoon. So that was one bit of incoming. The other bit of incoming, my mum managed to sneak across to Stephen and Penelope in Amsterdam, and she came back with a bag for me. And a nice little project bag. I haven't used it yet because I've been keeping it nice, show off in the podcast. Mum was lucky enough to meet Stephen when she was across there. I'll definitely put that photo up here. And she spent a good 5 minutes chatting away to him. And yeah, she said he was a really lovely guy and dead enthusiastic, and he liked her colours. You'll see she's wearing blue and pink, and her Stephen West badge, which a friend made her. So, yeah, apparently he liked that. So she brought me back some goodies. I will start with the big one. She brought me a skein of yarn from Ching Fibre, and it is one of the softest yarns I've ever felt. And let me check the composition for you, because I don't remember. So it's 65% superwash merino. Aha, here's why it's so soft. It's 20% silk and 15% yak. And it is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And it's in these lovely rusty autumn colours. Here is the ball band. I asked actually when I was in Stephen and Penelope myself, about 18 months ago, I asked how you pronounce this, and they said it's Ching Fibres, so now I know. I always wondered. It's got a... Oh, it just says Leila Ching. I was just wondering if the actual... No, it just said... Oh, it's yak singles. There we go, yak singles. And it looks like it's a single ply. That'll be why it's singles. So... Unlike, do you remember the Shetland wool I showed you earlier that had the 2 strands that had been twisted? So if something's a single, that means, sorry, I'm trying to catch it without the shadow. If it's single, that means that it's 1 strand and sort of one ply, if that makes sense. So it hasn't, or rather it hasn't been plied. So it's all just a single, like if you can imagine Lopi yarn, it's obviously much bigger, so you can possibly imagine it more easily. Lopi yarn from, is it Iceland? I want to say Iceland. It's thicker, but it is all one strand rather than multiple pieces plied together. So I hope that makes sense. And then of course if you've got 4 ply, you have 4 of these twists going together. 8 ply, you've got 8. 10 ply, yeah, you get the idea. Although sometimes it refers to just the thickness, just to be confusing. Yeah, there we go. It is a barber cord. Something I have wanted for a long time. So I think there are 2 in here, at least 2. So what you do is you put these on the end. Ooh, they glow in the dark. I think it might be. You put these on your needle tips, and then you can pop it through if you're knitting a garment, and then you can hold it on this for trying on. If you remember when I was trying this on, I had it on about 6 sets of shorter double pointed needles. So no more of that. Got one of these. Chuffed with that. I think Mum knew that I was keen to have one of those. I think we have to share, but that's okay. Another couple of little things. I think it's 1 each on these as well. Tiny little cables. Not cables, yeah, I guess very short cables, but you could use them for just holding work. If you were just need to hold a few stitches, you could use them for as a cable needle, and you could use them if you're just moving a couple of stitches across or whatever. I thought, ooh, they are dead cute. So we have a couple of those. And the last thing, a little Stephen and Penelope tin of stitch markers. These ones are for knitting rather than crochet because they're the kind that just pop on your them in the sun again. There we go. Sort of teardrop shape. Really nice. Wee tin of those. Lovely. So thank you, Mum. I'm glad that you got another trip to Stephen and Penelope, because we went together, Mum and I, back in October 2023, I think. I loved it. Totally loved it. I finished by saying, let me know what you've been working on as you've been watching, listening away. Do love to read those comments, and I shall hopefully be back without such a big gap. So, happy crocheting, happy knitting, happy crafting, whatever it is you're up to, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye bye.